So that should tell you about the scope, about how big these stages are. My only concern is how empty are these stages going to be when you're looking for the monster. Because I love hunting monsters, but I don't love spending 10 minutes looking for said monster.
Just running around looking for shit to kill. Banana.
Oh, demonio!
This guy flinched already? I'm so sad.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Oh, no wonder I couldn't find him. He was sleeping in a cave. What a coward. Ah, bro, I just found you. Why are you running?
What is going on, guys? Robert from Roberts here with a new video for you guys. In today's video, I'll be talking about my impressions of the Monster Hunter World beta. Mostly what I didn't like about it. This isn't a troll video like the last one, and I did actually play the second beta, primarily because my friend was like, hey, let's play. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the TLDW for this video. Basically, we've come a long way since that 4chan rumor, since Monster Hunter World is due to release in less than 20 days. And while the pre-order bonuses had like an armor and a charm, luckily Capcom is not selling their pre-order bonuses this time. So we dodged a bullet as a community there. Also, we understand how the DLC is going to work for Monster Hunter World, and they've said that the monsters will be free, not just the quests, so that's good. And microtransaction-wise, we know that it's purely cosmetic stuff that doesn't affect the gameplay, and I'm totally fine with that, and this is probably how Capcom plans to make their money back. So with all that said, we can finally sit back and enjoy all of the innovations that the Monster Hunter game will be able to do without being held back by hardware limitations, being on handhelds. And honestly, what was presented to me was kind of meh. And it wasn't because I'm just a nostalgia whore that loves Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, but mostly because I feel like the fear is pretty much been taken away out of the game, and honestly, accessibility has taken over the hunt. And it becomes clear who this game is for. Not players like myself, but the new players. You know, increased sales. Can't knock them for doing it. But pretty much from what I played, it was low tension and low risk. And this leaves concerns about how much content is going to be in the base game, since they're really pushing the DLC angle thing. And as far as gameplay goes, yeah, I got some complaints there as well. But the major one being these really interesting hitboxes on some of the monsters. But as you know, whatever's new is free from criticism, lest you be a nostalgia whore who can only live in the past. And of course, you know how this goes. If you say something other than praise towards Monster Hunter World, those most devout followers of the Church of Capcom will be coming after you to dismiss your arguments and what you don't like and other crap, you know. Pretty much this stuff has happened before, etc., blah, blah, blah. And that's the TLDR for this video. So people with low attention spans, go ahead, you're free. And now I'm gonna go ahead and get back into it. So, some of you might have noticed that I've been kind of quiet, not uploading videos, and it's mostly because I've been busy, you know, life happening. But even I have noticed how much fangirling is going on for Monster Hunter World, particularly with the first and second beta after it came out, with the trailers coming out. I think a trailer just came out like 2 days ago with the Elder Dragons or whatever. I actually wanted to go into the game blind by not playing the beta so I could have a little bit more fun, but I was requested to play the beta, so I did. And I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts about what I played. I'm not really here to like try to convince you to play the game at this point. So if your dreams get rustled about what I have to say in regards to the beta, well, tough titty, man. You know, there's an X button. You can click it. You can go to another video. You can go outside. You can do whatever you want. You have plenty of options. And in honesty, my overall opinion about the beta, it was meh. It was meh. Now, they did add some bells and whistles to the game, and it's clear that I'm not the target audience for said bells and whistles. So, for the most part, I'm indifferent towards them. They don't really bother me. However, from what's been presented, I am wondering about how the actual release is going to go on the 26th. And will it overall be meh, just like the beta was? But not like it matters. They already got my money, so here are the things I didn't like. Alrighty, guys. The first thing I didn't care about too much was the damage numbers. So pretty much now, whenever you hit the monster, they show how much damage you're doing, which is new. They didn't do this in the old games. And luckily, this is 100% optional, so you can turn it off if you don't care for it, which I will definitely be doing. Now, clearly, this was made for new players to help them out since they don't know about the hit zones of the monsters and so on and so forth. So this is just a tool to add to their belt to help them kind of bridge the gap between the new players and the old players. And in a way, I could see its usefulness if, like, you're trying to build an optimal set and you're trying to do the max possible damage and you want to see it, the damage numbers will show you that. So that's something I can say is good. However, you gotta take the good with the bad. And because of this, you know that the Monster Hunter elitists are gonna take this and they're gonna run with it. Monster Hunter already has an elitist problem. And now it's just another tool for them to use to kind of bash noobs. And the last thing that I want is for the Monster Hunter community to end up how the Destiny community is. And what I mean by that is, like, when Destiny first came out, you know, when Vault of Glass was new, getting the Atheon, everyone had like these creative ideas about how to take down the boss. And when I first beat Atheon, everyone was just throwing their supers at it, and it was fun. Then eventually, everyone started doing the same strategy of jumping in the middle and using snipers. So I've also seen how people start to conform to whatever YouTubers said the best weapon was this. Everyone started to do that in game and kind of made the game less fun. That's just me, though. That's something I wouldn't want to see with the Monster Hunter community, because in the Destiny community, they were micromanaging players about what armor they should have and what weapons they should be using. And I've already seen this kind of happening within Monster Hunter now, from my experiences playing. And this is pretty much going to open a can of elites versus noobs, to where you're going to have a bunch of elitists saying, here, this is what you should do, fall in line, noobs, and then the noobs will either conform or they're going to fight it, and it might give them a negative impression of the game. You know, I just want people to enjoy the game. That's it. That's my standard. So another thing I didn't like, pretty much number 2, how traps are incorporated in an environment. You know, after going back and playing Monster Hunter XX, I legit felt like the world was against me. The stupid Genprey, the bugs, like everything was hitting me. And then I went back and played Unite, and I was like, oh my gosh, the world is against me because everything attacks you. And then you get to Monster Hunter World, and it's like everything's attacking the monster now. Like the cats trap the monsters in vines, and there was even a time where like a minion monster, I don't know how it happened, a minion monster was attacking the big monster with me. And I think my cat was riding it. I'll see if I can find the footage. This is something I would consider like one of the new bells and whistles to attract new players. So like, I'm kind of indifferent towards it. I'm just pointing out that like, this is not something I particularly care for. But I mean, if other people get use out of it, hey, by all means. What I didn't like, number 3, 9 deaths. You get 9 deaths, which is just too much. In Monster Hunter, death kind of sets the bar for a player, so they know what's expected of them. This is why when you play Monster Hunter, the deaths actually hold weight. It's not, oh, I died. It's like, oh crap, I just died. And you know, when I was playing the beta, death was pretty much a joke. Kind of like that Family Guy episode. And I think this is setting the bar pretty low for new players. And I don't think that's really doing them any favors. Because if Dark Souls have shown us anything, it's that a game can be both challenging and financially successful. So I would have preferred for them to, I don't know, keep it at the 3, so new players actually have to learn how to get better and not just be like, oh, well, I died. I have 8 more tries. Let's try to work something out. And the health indicator on the monsters, number 4. Yeah, the health for the monsters is shown. When I was making these slides, I was unsure, but like I have another video up where I show it. And I'm going to play a part of it now, not the whole thing, because this video is going to be long enough, in my opinion.
What was that? Oh, it's the thing with the rock. Oh shit! He tried to slam me! What a douche. Bro, throw that rock at somebody, please. Do not feel bad. You never stood a chance. Alright, it's super dead.
When you take these first 4 things that I was talking about and you combine them together, it pretty much shows how much they're coddling the Monster Hunter community. And I believe in the new players. I think they'll be able to rise to the challenge just like we did in the past. Especially since it's way easier to communicate with people now. Like, we have voice chat. Like, it's really easy. But this also goes against a game mechanic that Monster Hunter uses that people probably aren't even aware of. It's fear. When you play Monster Hunter and you're fighting that monster for the first time, and by that monster, I mean the one where you're kind of intimidated. Kind of like Tigrex, Diablos, what have you. When something like this happens...
Ooh, a cat in that. Oh, I'm out.
The stakes are raised considerably for that hunt. And that fear and how it affects you as a player is the difference between saying, oh, it's Batman, and holy shit, it's Batman. And that impacts how it feels once you overcome that obstacle. To where it's like, well, okay, that was pretty cool, I guess. And holy crap, I can't believe we just won. That was crazy. In the previous games, Monster Hunter would give you enough rope and let your imagination go wild. And sometimes you'd make the monster way more fearsome than what it actually is. And that's part of the fun. You know, new hunters have to learn how to overcome that fear to advance. And for some people, they see a wall and they just run into it like, bro, I'm not even scared. And for others, you need other people, like a mentor, to kind of help you through it. But there is this internal battle with fear that each individual hunter goes through. And part of that is not knowing if you're doing enough damage. And having damage numbers kind of, it limits that impact. When you have the ecosystem working against you, such as when the minions just will not leave you alone and sometimes lead to you getting killed by the bigger monster in the area. As well as other monsters coming in on your hunt that you weren't expecting and them messing you up. combined with only having 3 deaths between you and your crew. And while you're giving your all against this monster, it's showing no signs of slowing down. You don't even know if it's hurting it. That's a psychological battle going on in your head. However, when you see that monster start to limp away, that feeling of, oh shit, let's get this food. That's Monster Hunter. Like, that's it. The first 4 things kind of limit the fear for the player. And this is going to impact how new players see the game. Because without this tension, without that fear to overcome, you don't feel as accomplished when you finally do beat the odds. And that was something I definitely noticed within the beta. The only monsters where I felt accomplished for killing were the Apex monsters, Diablos and Rathalos. The other ones were just meh. Alright, 5th thing I didn't like, monsters run way too much. I get it. You know, they implement this new system with the scout flies, and they want you to spend your time tracking the monster, you know, going around looking for saliva, claw marks, and all that good stuff. And when you finally do find the monster, you fight it for a little bit, it starts to run away. And I know I'm not the only one to notice this. In fact, this is what I was warned about before I played the beta. Basically, in the previous games, like, when a monster's seen you, it aggroed, it started to attack you. And it's true that they would leave the area, but you'd get at least, most times, like 5 minutes. 5-10 minutes of just solid fighting. To the point to where when the monster left to go to another area, sometimes it was a breath of relief because you got like a few seconds to like compose yourself before you continue the hunt. I mean, in this, like, it's like every time you're starting to get the groove, monster just runs off. And it's weird because you're on their turf. You're seeking them out. And you know, like in the last games, when you're fighting these monsters, you have to start to ask yourself, am I hunting this Rajang, or is this Rajang hunting me? And if the monster turns tail and runs away often, it kind of ruins that. And it leads to my next point. This one's an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna say it anyway. When I first heard there were no loading zones, I was for it, 100%. I'm like, that's perfect, that's cool. And you know, this is meant to keep you in the hunt, immersed in the world. So I know why they're doing it. However, while it was going on, when I was playing, it's kind of annoying. And the reason I say this is because, like before, when you're running in between the zones or whatever, you get like a 2-second loading screen, and then you're in the next big area, like ready to do whatever you're trying to do. So basically, the transitions between the zones, you got like a 1-2 second loading screen, and they popped you in. And because I'm lazy, this worked for me, because they cut out like boring time of just running with really nothing to interact with. What I would compare this to is like Dragon Ball Z, like when they're going between the battle, like they have the big battle somewhere and you have like the minor characters trying to get to the battle or whatever. Pretty much, in my opinion, I want to do less flying and I want to do more fighting. So like less time I'm in the air talking about exposition and filling power levels. I'd rather like be there on the battle like, holy crap, he just hit him really hard. And you know, this worked in the last games. Like, I'm not a complainer of it. I know some other people might not have liked it. But it's like when you're fighting something and it runs away, you run to the next area, it plops right back down, and then you continue the fight. With Monster Hunter World, you run through these transitions. And honestly, it takes more time than the loading screens. And this wouldn't really be a problem, except like the way that the monster's AI is, it's like it only fights you in certain areas and not everywhere. So like if you catch it in between the zones or whatever in that little transition area, it tries to run back to an area. So you're going to be chasing it. This goes back into the monsters running too much thing. This is what you'll probably notice when you're playing, because I noticed it in the beta. So if you combine these two things, it kind of makes it seem like within Monster Hunter World that you're doing less hunting and you're doing more running, which I play for combat, so this is a big deal for me. And this wasn't helped by the 20-minute timer in the beta. Now, with the full release, I'm assuming you're going to get the full 50 minutes or whatever. So it's not going to be as big of an issue. However, when I'm looking at this for what it is, it's an artificial way to increase hunt time with fluff. Not necessarily fun. I think it would have been better if they would have implemented a way to where the monster chased you. What I mean by this is like after you run into the monster and it knows you're there and you're in its territory, afterwards, instead of like randomly roaming around, it's seeking you out. So pretty much if this is Dragon Ball Z or whatever, it's like you're flying back to the fight and then bam, the villain comes to get you. And it cuts down your flight time back to the fight and it puts you back in the fight, because that's why people buy Monster Hunter games. It's the fight. So this is something I wish they would have implemented. Maybe they will. But from what I've seen in the beta, that's not the case. Alright, next. Personally, there's too much crap on the screen. Now, I took this from an image search, but this is literally what could be happening on your screen. In which case, at 1, you got your health bar. Duh. 2, health of your companions. You got your cat with you, it'll be there. 3, the mini-map. 4, monster health. 5, what's in your sling. 6, your items. 7, that lady who will not shut up. 8, whenever something happens, you break something of the monster, you run past an item that you can pick up in the field, something pops up in that little area. And 9, they have the active command list for whatever weapon that you have or whatever. And you compare that to something like, let's say, Dark Souls, where they just have your health, your items, and currency. Hopefully there's a way to like customize your screen to take some of this stuff off, so I can get a better view of the world that they created. That's just how I feel about it. Maybe some of you guys liked it, I don't know. Next, I really do not like that zoom in thing. Pretty much every time you encounter a monster, they stop you and zoom into the monster. So if you're running towards the monster, they zoom in, you can't see yourself for a moment. And that has actually gotten me hit while I'm trying to run in and hit the monster. Another unpopular opinion, but what else is new? I'm not a fan of the new potion system because personally it doesn't make sense to me. However, I will give them props that they did make the in-game potion look like the keychain that you can get from eBay. So that was cool when I seen that. Now, apparently, people hated the old way that you used to flex. I wasn't one of them, and I didn't really hear too many people complaining about it. And I think the people that did complain about it, they were the ones that were trying to take a potion like right in front of the monster and immediately got hit. You know, you gotta observe the monster and see when it's safe to do so, you know, to like heal. That's one of the first things you gotta learn when playing Monster Hunter. And I think the people that didn't like it are the ones that were getting hit all the time because they wasn't paying attention. So, we get to the new way that you take potions or whatever, and pretty much it's like you're sitting there and you're gulping and you're allowed to move while you do it. You can roll out of it. If you roll out of it, you lose the potion that you had or you don't heal all the way. But when I look at how it's executed in Monster Hunter World, it seems poor. It's a poor execution, and I think it's mostly due to my realism that people wanted with this game. And, you know, if you compare this to, I guess, realism, it doesn't make sense because there's nothing to suggest that there's a difference in size between potions and mega potions. And pretty much whenever you're playing Monster Hunter World, when you take a mega potion, it's like you're drinking a big gulp. And it's like the same size container, and that doesn't make sense. Now, it's pretty clear where they might have gotten some of their inspiration from with the new system implemented in Monster Hunter World. And I'm just wondering why they didn't just copy it. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, it's from Dark Souls. And in Dark Souls, the healing item is called Estus. You drink it, your health comes back. Now, in the first game, it came back quick. In the second game, as you're seeing here, it slowly increases. So when I'm looking at world system, I'm like, why didn't you just do this instead? Because it shows you, hey, when you heal, you need to be careful and not just run back in. Now, the last 3 items discussed causes immersion issues for me personally. Your mileage may vary. However, when I'm trying to fight a monster, I'm finally getting into the groove, and I'm starting to have fun, and it suddenly just drops everything and starts to run away, kind of pulls me out of that immersion from the world. Same when I'm running through these transitional areas that I know I can't really fight the monster in, and they're just really there to kind of add time to the hunt. I mean, like, I'm okay with it to the extent of, hey, well, you know, it's not a loading screen, but like, I'm kind of here for the fight, and whatever gets me into the fight quicker, I'm gonna be more immersed, being honest. And with the potion system, I don't understand it. I don't get it. I would have preferred Dark Souls way of doing the Estus, to where you just chug, you're back into the battle, your health slowly comes back, if they wanted to make it more challenging. My dude, let's get to some gameplay issues now. Why? For number 11, why is navigating through the inventory such a pain? And the reason this is that, like in the past games, you'd be able to hit the L button and you'd be able to scroll through your inventory with square and circle. And you'd still be able to move around, you'd be able to move the camera. But with the control scheme from the beta, the camera analog is linked to a quick key for the items. So what would happen to me is that I would get hit and I'm trying to rotate the camera to get a better angle on the monster and scroll through and get my item that I need to, you know, heal up. And I will be hit into this hotkey thing constantly. And these precious seconds are sometimes the difference between like life and the cart. I try not to cart, so this is an issue, and I hope you're able to like take this off. Why they would tie this quick key thing to the camera is beyond me. The hitboxes in Monster Hunter World vacuum, and I don't know if they're gonna fix them when the game comes out. Now, whenever you talk about like Unite, people are quick to hold up plus and be like, that hip check, it's broken. Okay, you're right. I'm not gonna defend that hitbox. It's a bad hitbox. It was also on the PSP a very long time ago. So why is it that now, way later, on the first PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC port of Monster Hunter, we're having hitboxes like this? And I thought it was just me. But I looked up a video on YouTube, and this guy, I don't even know how he was hit. There's no explanation for it. Nothing. That's just a bad hitbox. I hope they fix it. Alright guys, time to go ahead and wrap this video up, get my final thoughts and stuff. So, basically, we've come a long way since that 4chan rumor, and the game's going to be out in less than 20 days at this point. Now, Capcom needs this win. The gaming generation with the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, Capcom really hasn't done that much. And if you look at what they came out with for games in like 2014, in 2015, 2016, Street Fighter V came out. You know, it had a pretty rocky launch. 2017, Resident Evil 7 came out, and then I never heard about it again. And then September, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out, and it was in the news for all the wrong reasons. And now I really don't hear about it that much anymore. And I guess on this old list, like they had World coming out holiday season for 2017, but it seems like they pushed it back, probably for like quality and whatnot. So pretty much outside of like remasters, Capcom only has these 3 titles. 2 on the Xbox, because Street Fighter V is a PlayStation 4 exclusive. So I'm pretty sure they want Monster Hunter World to do well. And I'm pretty sure that's why they've been treating their fans right for like the first time in years. Actually, like standing by their fans and doing right by their fans. Because if we were dealing with arrogant Capcom we've been dealing with, paid armors and weapons could have been a thing. There could have been microtransactions like buying potions and armor stones and stuff like that. So I guess with a combination of like their desperation, seeing like the outrage from loot boxes like with Battlefront 2 and what's happening with Destiny 2, Capcom wanted to play it safe and be like, okay, fans, we're on your back. So I'm cool with that. Like, I would hate to see what Capcom thinks about to nickel and dime the Monster Hunter community, because you guys will buy it. You say you won't. I doubt you cancel your pre-orders. I bet you end up buying the DLC, microtransactions, and all that stuff. I'm glad they didn't go the season pass route for this game. Yet. I don't know what they're going to have planned for next year, because this is a live game. This isn't like dead games like back in the day where you got the game and that was it. This is a game they're going to keep updating, and eventually they might want some change. I don't know. They might like have like a timed session to where they'll get free stuff and then be like, okay, now we want some money. It's in the air. It could happen, could not happen. As far as microtransactions go, nothing with gameplay, which is good. It's just cosmetic items. Totally for that. The development cost for Monster Hunter World was probably a lot. If you didn't know, the reason why Monster Hunter went to Nintendo, or Capcom went to Nintendo, was because the development cost for the PlayStation 3 was too high. And on Nintendo, it was cheaper. So they went with the Wii. And that's why Monster Hunter 3 is on the Wii. And that's why Monster Hunter's seen a lot of its success on Nintendo consoles, and now it's coming back to Sony. And the thing is that they're on more powerful systems than the handhelds. They have a lot that they can pull from. You know, you got 10 years of this game, the monsters, the areas, the characters. They have Frontier. They have a lot that they can do, and they aren't limited. However, in a way, they are limited. And that's probably why I thought the beta was overall meh. And what I mean by this is that they have all this potential to do stuff, but because of Capcom's financial situation, they are likely going with the safe bet, and they don't want to like push the envelope too much, which is probably why Monster Hunter World is shaping up to look the way that it is. It's not really taking a lot of risk. In the past, yeah, the Monster Hunter games, they take pretty big risk. If you look at Try, that was a huge risk. Like, no classic monsters and underwater. Like, that was a pretty big risk. So, I know this isn't a fair comparison. You know, Monster Hunter World's beta is a demo. Monster Hunter XX is a full-fledged Game of the Year edition game. But hear me out anyway. You know, back when Monster Hunter World's trailer came out, like, some people weren't interested in it. And they was like, hey man, I really just want XX. Y'all gonna localize that? And Capcom was like, no, we're gonna prioritize Monster Hunter World. We'll tell you later, or we might later. Like, they gave a really vague answer. I don't know if it's gonna be localized, to be honest. I'm pro bring it to the West, even though I have it. When I'm looking at what's being offered with the world, I can kind of see why some of the people weren't really digging it. And as more information is coming out, I can see why I kind of just want to go back and start playing XX. Like, World is a toss. I don't know what I'm going to get. You know, That's the thing about change. You know, change is not inherently good. It can be good, it can be bad. But people always just assume it's going to be good because that's what we want. We want it to be good. And when I'm looking at the amount of content, like I got 400 hours in this game and I don't even have all the quests done yet. I haven't even did all the G rank quests yet. Like I'm still on the last tier of high rank quests. And this game has 77% of the monsters available on the console version of Monster Hunter. So I can see why other fans would want to play it. And I'm hoping after World comes out that some localization news will come out as well for Double X. And the reason I'm saying this is because World seems more geared towards the new audience, while Double X seems geared towards the old audience. And after playing the beta, you know, they've gone out of their way to make sure that the new players are safe. You know, and by safe, I mean they're limiting the amount of fear that could lead to them dropping the game and not playing anymore. And this is like adding the damage numbers, showing the monster's health, letting the environment be able to be used by you to like trap them if you don't have traps. And overall, with the exception of Diablos, like the beta was really easy. So it was like low tension, low risk. They give you 9 cards. It's clear who World is for. If I'm not the target audience, that's fine. I'm okay to accept that. The thing that gets me is that there's not a lot of alternatives at the moment for the American audience. Like you can go back to 3U or 4U. Console alternative, like not on handheld. So you can just go to 3U or the Switch. I'm sorry, just the 3U. My bad. Getting ahead of myself. But when I'm looking at World's content, after like I fight all the new monsters, I'm wondering, once all the bells have been rang and the whistles have been blown, what's actually gonna be left? And what will its worth be? Because we're gonna have people discussing which Monster Hunter series is better for years to come in like the discussion boards or whatever. But I've noticed after the beta, there were starting to be threads of, yeah, there are some things I'm not so sure about. And then, of course, the fangirls will come in, no, it's great, everything's great, everything's awesome. So some of the criticism is starting to shine through. And I'm sure with the release on the 26th, we'll see more criticism about the game, which is good to me. I hate echo chambers. Currently, everything about Monster Hunter World has been an echo chamber, and no one's really been all that critical. And my thing is, how long are we gonna have to wait until like World's good? Like, will it be good out of the box? Will the initial release be good? And if it's not, how long until the DLC catches up and then makes it good? You know, these are very valid questions if you ask me. Now look at all the previous other Monster Hunter games. All the stuff was available out of the box. You didn't have to wait for anything. Now I come from a different generation of gaming. Nowadays, you pay for a game and then you wait for the rest of the stuff. I mean, that's just the way the gaming is now. I'm just curious when it comes to World. And I don't think it's going to be a bad game. There hasn't been too many bad Monster Hunter games, in my opinion. But I am curious to see how it stacks up compared to the other games. And I can't wait to read and see those discussions and be a part of those discussions. And with that, guys, I think this video is done. So I guess I'll see you guys when the game comes out. Not really. I won't see you. Unless you comment below and say, hey, Robert, we should play together. In which case... yeah, we could like sync up and play together. That'd be pretty cool. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What did you think about the beta? Am I full of shit? I'm pretty sure I get that. Oh yeah, please leave a have you even played Monster Hunter before comment. Like those are like the funniest things ever. They always tickle my pickle. Okay, I don't really know how to end this video, but I guess that's it. I'm out.